And I was just talking to myself again. Alright, well, here we go. We're pretty close here. We've just got 2% more we need on the skinning to go ahead and use our points to take that up. If you want to do any gathering in this game, it is really very important that you go ahead and use your learning points on your gathering. And instead of doing like I'm doing, you really should just focus on one first. The reason I'm working towards all of them is I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the non-lethal zones because I am working towards getting all of my spears tiered up before I worry about going into lethal zones. So it's going to take me a few weeks at least to get there. And in that time, hopefully I can build up my gathering as well across all of the different options. And then we will start doing some black zone roaming. Black zone mists, black zone proper. We're just going to wander around and have a good time. Do some gathering, kill some bosses, find some aspects, just really whatever we can think of. But the important thing here is just building up a nice base of currency and a nice base of currency gaining options. We want to be able to do lots of different stuff to gain currency. Right now we're sitting, all told, at about 4.5 million silver, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. We're also almost all the way to 100 in our masteries for our first sets of equipment. Just 4 more to go here, which is also great. Once we hit those masteries, we'll start looking towards getting some 8.0 gear, especially our armors. We'll want to get tiered up. Nope, that's wrong. We want to do the weapons first. For some reason I forgot that I was also going to have to be changing what weapon I was going to use. Because, you know, when you're speccing things up, you got to keep changing things. I got it in my brain that I was just going to be using the same stuff. But for the most part, the really great thing about speccing up equipment is that it never breaks permanently. So anything you buy to spec up with, right, even if you go out of your way to get all 8-point-something gear, if you're not going into a black zone and losing it because you die, then you can always just kind of resell it for the same amount of currency. So as long as you're willing to take things slow, you know, use buy orders to buy sets, use sell orders to sell sets, you'll actually make currency by buying a new set of gear and then reselling it when you're all done. It definitely does take a little bit of time, so you need to plan out what you're wanting to spec up in advance. But it'll really help you making sure to maintain your currency as you go. And that's really important. You don't want to start losing everything before you get to a point where you can really start making the currency come in. And that only really happens when you're at sort of a maximum. We talked a little bit earlier today. I'm going to talk about it again because in this game, everything is kind of a known quantity. All the gatherings, all the different farm places that you can go to, all of the different things you can do to make currency or make fame, they're all kind of known quantities. And so the players have gotten to where the markets reflect their expectation of time investment. And you can make somewhere between about 1 million to 1,300,000 in an hour with pretty much any activity at its highest level. So, you know, doing solo dungeons, if you're doing, you know, 8.2 or 8.3 solo dungeons, or even honestly 8.0 solo dungeons, and you're doing them with a good spec that helps you clear dungeons quickly, and you're doing them with a high tier gear, then you're going to be able to just run through them really fast, and you're going to make about 1 million to 1,300,000. If you're doing gathering and you have all of your gathering tools, your Avalonian tools, you've got your tier 8 set, you know, you're all maxed out on spec for whatever tier you're gathering, and you've got all that, then you're going to make about 1 million to 1,300,000. It's just been really standardized. So the goal here is to identify what you want to do to make your currency, and then get all the way up in that. And now we've hit our tier 4. And I'm just going to teleport back because I don't want to walk. It's too far. So now we're going to start working on our mining. Our mining is actually doing pretty good on getting us towards tier 5. We're over 20%. We just don't have learning points to get this yet. We need 102. We've only got 56. But we're up there. So we'll work towards getting that all fixed up. Sell this leather real quick. This hide.
Welcome, friend.
We're also going to buy a new tier 4 Avalonian skinning knife.
My pleasure.
Apparently buying 100 items was a thing.
Honest prices.
All right, good deal. It's just time to go farm a bunch of tier 4. The place we're going to do that is actually this north spot right here. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and flag up for the faction. I actually forgot earlier. But if you get flagged up, and you go out and gather flagged, actually we should probably go further as well. So let's go 1, 2, 3 away. Yeah, we'll go up here to Pen Uchaf. That'll take us 3 zones away, which will mean the most fame that we can get, or the most faction tokens we can get for doing activities. And that's where we'll do our mining back up here. Because those faction tokens really do help. Oh, I forgot to bring my mining gear set with me too. Darn it. I'm dumb. That's alright. We'll fill up and then we'll go back and get it. No big deal. While we're on our way, we might as well stop and get the stuff that's right in front of our face. So, talking a little bit about leveling up your gatherings. There's a reason that I'm gathering these tier 4s, and not picking up these tier 3s. So, when you harvest anything, or any of the gatherings, you're pretty much standardized in how much fame you're going to make per time across the board. Because some resources are more difficult to find than others, and because of how long some of the resources take to actually gather, and all of that stuff is kind of factored in. You end up making about the same amount of fame for gathering, no matter what tier of gathering you're doing. And so it's very important that you choose a tier. And I recommend choosing tier 4 because it's the first one you can get to. And then you stick with that tier. Because as you level up specifically that tier, you increase the speed and the yield that you get from that tier of resources. And yield is directly tied to how much fame you get. So your yield percentage is actually a percent chance to gain double resources. And so if you have 100% chance or 100% yield, then you double your resources. If you have 110 yield, then you always double your resources, and you have a 10% chance to triple them. And that whenever those doubles and triples happen, they also happen to fame. So if you double your resource gain, you get double fame. If you triple your resource gain, you get triple fame. And so that extra yield that you can get from the specialization of the specific tiers of gathering are incredibly important to leveling up your higher tiers. But those tiers only level specifically when you gather those tiers of resources. So you can only level up your tier 4 by gathering tier 4. You could only level up your tier 5 by gathering tier 5 and so on. So it's just best to stick with the tier 4 because as you level up, you'll be gathering really quickly. The tier 4 materials respawn really fast. And even though there's more competition for them, you ultimately end up being able to get more resources because they're just constantly respawning. Alright, let's get after this. We've got our fighting set with us, so if we do run into some other people... Actually, it looks like Thetford has taken over this whole area. That's pretty funny. Oh, we got a boss mob here with another glowy person with him, so I'm just gonna kill these two real quick, because why not? It's not great fame because, you know, it's a low tier zone. But it's good enough. It'll be fun. Ooh, I am now a noble. Let's see, you gain 100,000 fame from roaming mobs. Reach reputation level noble. Ooh, when you become a noble, you get a bonus. 100,000 silver? Yes, please. And 10 learning points. Absolutely, yes, please. The best thing about these new journals is actually getting all those extra learning points. It can really help you accelerate some of your growth. So if you have the chance, you should definitely get a hold of some of those. Do those journals, make that happen. Ooh. Enchanted node. I do currently not have my premium because my free 3-day ran out earlier today, which makes me a little bit sad, but it's okay. I will go back over here to this area later. just kind of want to make the lap around to see if there are any other good spots, because these things will usually be camped by quite a few people. So I may or may not actually be able to get a lot of resources there. But if I can find a node, or some good nodes, a route, not a node. If I can find a route, then I can keep getting, ooh, another rare ore. Nice. We may be able to get, depending on how long we get to do this for, we may be able to get all the way up to tier 5. I doubt it. Because we don't have the premium, we're going to be gaining a little bit less. Going to be gaining a little bit less fame, which means that this is just going to take a little longer. But that's fine. We will steadily gain currency doing this. And that's all that really matters. I may actually never buy premium. I don't know. Don't know how I feel about it. I like that I can buy it with the in-game currency, but honestly, prices are getting pretty inflated. Things are getting pretty rough. So I may just go ahead and go without it. And just do the extra grind. I don't know if it's going to actually make a huge difference one way or the other. Wow. Wow, look at all these glowy mobs. I mean, I understand that they're not really that good in a tier 4 zone, but dang. Can't pass them up. I mean, shoot, that's worth 15k right there for fame. That's pretty good. Looks like we got another gatherer out here. Oh wow, 3 glowy mobs all in one. Nice. That was honestly quite a bit of fame. Quite a bit of fame. And now I'm just stuck behind this person. That's pretty unfortunate. That's alright. We'll just go... when you're doing mining, pretty much everywhere you see a rock outcropping in the areas where ore is the primary resource, like here in Fort Sterling, you can pretty much find ore nodes. So instead of just running around the outside, I'll just start going into the middle here and running around some of these, getting stuff that way. This little rock outcropping right here's got a ton of nodes. Something I try not to ever miss is these rough stones. I see them, I always try and pick them up. The reason for that is that they are some of the most valuable per time resources there are. Especially for a tier 1 node. You can get 200 pretty easy for them. I'm surprised that person didn't take this. They could have gotten at least 2 of the grabs at it before I managed to. That's what I would have done. I always try and muscle people off of my route when I'm gathering. Especially when I have tier 8 gear. When the European server started, I went over there. And all I did was gather for days and days and days. And so I got up to tier 8 before basically everybody else who was gathering in my area. And I would just muscle everybody out of my route. Since there's already somebody kind of over here in my way, I'm just going to come down to this area here that's specifically for the ore resources. See if I can't find something down here. See if there are enough iron nodes to keep me busy. There doesn't seem to be a ton of iron down in the middle here. Mostly tin, which is kind of confusing to me. The center areas would be more iron than tin. But it seems like the outside is where all the iron is. Ooh. That's nice. It's pretty much worth just camping that. If you look, just that one set of swings gave me 11k, which is about what I made out of every regular node that I've gathered so far. So just sitting on that would actually make me more currency. Than running around and getting all of these. Which is kind of insane. That's what this person's doing over here, looks like. Maybe not. There's a surprising number of people over here. I expected a couple, but I didn't expect 3 or 4. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. I think there might just be a little too much competition over here. One of the most important things about your gathering route is trying to set it up so that you're getting all 3 picks at a time. And the reason for that is because you can't change the amount of time it takes between nodes. You have to run from node to node. So an optimized route, of course it's important to find routes that have lots of nodes and that you can hit lots of nodes quickly. And so you want to minimize the distance between those nodes as much as possible. But the more bites at the apple you get per node, the more efficient your route will be also. Because if I can get 3 picks per distance that I move, instead of 1 pick per distance that I move, then I'm 3 times as efficient with how much time I waste moving around the map. Now, normally, I would absolutely say that if you're going to be out gathering, you should focus on gathering, right? Any extra stuff that you do, like killing bosses or anything like that, ultimately just reduces efficiency overall, right? If you're going to be gaining fame, then you should be gaining fame. And if you're going to be fighting mobs, or if you're going to be gathering, you should be gathering. And so normally I would live by that. From an efficiency perspective, it's absolutely more efficient just to pick a thing and do it. But from a fun perspective, I think mixing and matching a little bit is a good idea. And I'm not really all that worried with getting maxed out as quickly as possible in anything on this character. This is fun for me. We've got a really long time until the games that I really, really want to play come out. We're looking at maybe 4 years before Ashes of Creation. We have no information at all about Light No Fire. PAX Day, which, even though technically it's in early access or whatever, is in basically an alpha state right now, so we've got years for that game. And all of these games are the games that I'm pretty excited to play, especially from a survival crafting kind of perspective. But it's going to be a really long time until we get those opportunities. And so really I'm just enjoying gaming while I wait for those games to come out. I have every intention when Arc Age Chronicles and eventually when Light No Fire and Ashes of Creation come out, I intend to play those games with an incredible fervor. And we will be going ham as you can possibly go to really build something in those games. Yo, what's up, TPG? How are you doing? How you been? But we'll be going ham on those games. Like you've never seen somebody go ham before. So until then, we're going to be doing stuff like playing Albion Online, or, we started with Once Human. I want to put a lot of focus into the games. I want to play them for a long time. At least months per game, because we have a lot of time to kill. But we'll play them, and we'll have fun, and we'll get as far as we can go, and we'll enjoy ourselves. And if a game gets to the point where we just can't stand it anymore, then we'll do something else. It's getting a little dry. Great, just got done running some controllers since I was at almost 160. Nice. Nice, good for you. I'm glad you're still enjoying Once Human. I probably won't be back for the remainder of this scenario. So how would you feel if I jumped on there after I finished this stream later and just gave you control of the hive? Because you were the one who was kind of taking care of everything anyway, so... That way, if y'all need to add anybody or anything like that, just don't think I can keep doing it. The game hasn't added enough interest. Yeah, I miss playing with y'all too. I think it was... it's a good game, and I really like playing it. There just isn't enough. Everything feels the same, no matter what you're doing. And so I never felt like I was doing anything different, and it just got to a point where the repetition was too much for me. So I'll probably go back to it after they've added a couple of new scenarios and there's some more stuff to see. But, yeah, I'll get on there later tonight and do that. Nobody cares. Sorry, didn't mean to clear my throat right in your nest. Here. I'm really excited to maybe see the Once Human style move into other genres as well. I'd really love to play a game like that that was maybe fantasy themed or something, instead of FPS style. I'm not really an FPS player. I prefer fantasy. But I think that would be super cool. I really like the shortened season concept. I would also really like to see account-wide progression in that game instead of character progression, because I would really love for there to be lots of different types of scenarios to play with lots of different durations. So, if they had like really short scenarios that were really active PvP, and maybe you started max level, and you just went in there and you maybe brought a gun and it was just about gathering up a certain type of resource or something, so that you could take it into other scenarios, or, some way to get a special gun or special deviations or something like that. Then, when you're getting bored of those longer scenarios, you could pop onto a different character, you know, maybe run a couple of quick little 2-day scenarios, get some special stuff for your next long scenario, have it all stored over in Eternal Land, maybe get some special guns, something like that. And I think that that could just be really, really interesting. They're not doing a ton with their scenario scheme right now. And I think the thing that's really holding them back is a lack of account-wide progression. I think if they had account-wide progression and then, you know, just, I mean, go crazy with it. Make 2-day scenarios, make 6-month scenarios, make 1-week scenarios, and then time them out. Put them during certain times, right? You could have had a whole scenario that was set up just specifically for the Halloween season, right? And maybe it only comes around once a year, and it only happens during Halloween. And you make a new character, so you don't have to worry about like not playing for a couple of weeks before it happens. You make a new character, you do the Halloween scenario, you get, you know, a special Halloween deviation or something like that from it, and then next year you try again. And you could have one for every holiday. And so then, instead of having to make a new character and start completely from scratch, whenever you made that new character, it would have all your blueprints, it would have access to your Eternal Land, all your resources there, all that stuff. And so you could have some really, really cool scenarios that were really, really brief durations or limited times or anything like that that people could participate in. And I feel like that would be just outrageously cool. And I think that's always kind of been the intention. You know, we weren't able to make more than one character at the beginning of the launch for the game. And I think that was because they wanted to have account-wide progression and they hadn't implemented it yet. And so in order to prevent you from making progression on a second character that wouldn't be able to later be merged, you know, I think they weren't going to have multiple character creation until they got it all working right. So I do think that that's in the future of the game. At least I hope so. Because I think that one thing would just be a total game changer for how the game is played and how interesting it is. So, you know, I'm really hoping. We'll see. Let's see. Defeat 3 roaming mob bosses. Dunzo. 3,000. Yeah. Getting all this stuff done. Let's use these up. Honored K, what's up? But we'll see. I got a lot of hopes for a lot of games, and they don't ever really seem to happen, so maybe I just got my head in the clouds too much. Alright, well none of this ridge has anything that I want. It's all tier 2 and tier 3. That's really unfortunate. Hang on, I just got a notification on Discord. Anyone had trouble getting GeForce Experience to recognize? Nope. Don't know. Sorry, Darkling. I have no clue. Okay, can there please be iron ore anywhere? Holy snap. Like I fell into Narnia. Okay. Here we go. We're finally gonna get some of this stuff. Hey, what's up, Quizza? Yeah, buddy. I really like this format because it really helps not burn me out on the early streams. Because doing the really, really long streams early on in the day and being on for like, 9 or 10 hours really burns me out. I can easily do, 5.5 hours in the morning and then come on here and do another 3 to 4 without any problems. And then I get a good 8 or 9 hours worth of streaming in every day. But it doesn't have to all be in one big chunk. So, yeah, I think this is pretty much going to be the format from now on. Hit people up while they're at work, give them something to watch, and then move on over to something else in the evening. I like it. What are you doing this evening? Something I do wish. Yeah, since I got no sleep, I can catch both streams. That's funny. Sorry, I'm back, but yes, I can handle all the craziness of the hive, but we still miss you. Yeah, of course, of course. I miss y'all too. I miss y'all too. And we'll get back together on another scenario in the future. I mean, it's not the absolute end of me playing any Once Human. The game's still got a lot of value. And I still like it. It's just not 6:50 a.m. Dang, brother. It's like midnight here. Yeah, 11:48. Just gathering away. Gathering in MMO games. I feel you on that. You can't play something you burn out on. No, you really can't. It's not... It made the whole thing start feeling like a chore. I don't want it to feel like a chore. Might just fall asleep watching the stream, or might not. No idea. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind being how you put yourself to sleep, Quizza. That's totally okay with me. You just let me know, I'll sing you a lullaby. Hop on OW a ton now, since the game is slow in PvP. OW. Overwatch. Got it. Took me a second. I haven't played Overwatch in a really long time. Yeah, nothing says lullaby like metal on metal. You must be smoking crack, brother. Guess that would explain why you couldn't sleep. Yeah, I assumed you would be playing too. Since Overwatch 1 doesn't even exist anymore, right? They just kind of gave the whole game a facelift and called it Overwatch 2. Or some crazy shit like that. Ooh, a boss. Bro. Because I gotta admit, the more I learn about you, the more you freak me out, brother. Hey, level 98 master, just 2 more levels. Honestly, I'm gathering quite a bit of fame out here doing this. This is kind of crazy. Most of them are all horror movies are fake. Quizza. That's they're movies. Movies are fake. But I cannot watch horror. I have a really overactive imagination. And so when I watch horror movies, I end up having to sleep with the light on. Because I have really vivid dreams and a really active, vivid imagination. And I will start seeing things in the dark. So I don't watch scary movies. Although that's not entirely true. I have been watching that TV series From. And it's terrifying, but I can't stop watching it because it's really intriguing. And I think it's a really good TV show, and I really like some of the actors and actresses who play in it. And I can't stop watching. But it scares the ever-loving crap out of me. Every Sunday night, I sleep with my light on. TPG, didn't they also not port cosmetics over to Overwatch 2? From? It's freaking creepy. It's in its 3rd season right now. It's really good. I really like it. But it's terrifying. I mean, that's bad. You absolutely want the cosmetics to cross over. Because that was the whole scandal, wasn't it? Was they made a game that was basically just an expansion to an existing game with all the same characters, and then none of the cosmetics poured over. So you're just screwing people out of their cosmetics and then saying, haha, buy them again. That's fucking trash. Can't do that to people. I could understand if Overwatch 2 was a completely different game, or, you know, a complete departure from the original, but it's the same maps, right? It's the same characters, it's the same everything with a facelift. That's freaking doo-doo. They're still putting those cosmetics in the store as recolors, but the ones you purchased or unlocked on Overwatch 1 you did not. Oh, you did get to keep. Okay. Okay. But did you only get to keep them on Overwatch 1? Oh, you said no, they did port over, thankfully. Okay. I see. For some reason I saw did not port over. My brain is playing tricks on me. Oh, that person's wearing all gathering gear. Let's go fight him. You can't come over here and be from a different zone and expect me not to kill you while you're trying to harvest up my materials. I'm gonna get you, dude. Bummer. I forgot I'm fat. It looks like maybe that person left anyway. Oh, nope, they're there. Darn it. I need them to dismount close enough to me that I can actually use my skill to hit them. Because I imagine they're overweight, just like I am. I'm gonna come over here and wait where I think they'll eventually come. Nope, doesn't look like they're coming over here. Okay. Well, back to gathering. I really wanted to fight that person. I imagine I probably would have lost, but still would have been fun. Y'all are so lucky you can't see chat right now. Ooh. Ooh, I'm gonna get 2 picks at this. Nice. This is ridiculously relaxing. I'm gonna fall asleep. It's funny, I really love participating in this part of MMOs. I love going out, gathering resources, running these routes, going in circles like this. But I hate that the gathering system exists in MMO games because it's such a ridiculous thing to have. But I could do this for hours. Heck, I do this for hours. Every MMO I've ever played, I've pretty much always maxed out every gathering and every crafting profession I can. Because it's just fun. If somebody would make an actually good crafting system, I don't even know what I would do with myself. Too bad that'll never happen. Gosh darn it. I did it again with the mute, didn't I? Sorry, y'all. I don't know where my head's at right now. Off in La La Land. Ooh. 3 glowy people. Oh, wizards. It's a tribunal. Or is it, since there's 3 of them, could it be a triumvirate? Triumvirate 3. I gotta admit, I've got a pretty big vocabulary, but I have no idea what a triumvirate is. I feel like it's a council of 3, though. Let's look it up. I'm curious now. What's Google for if it's not expanding your vocabulary? Oh, wow. I accidentally spelled it right. Alright, so in ancient Rome, a group of 3 men holding power, in particular the first triumvirate, the unofficial coalition of Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, in 60 BC. The second triumvirate was a coalition formed by Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian in 43 BC. Hey, I was right. It is a council of 3 people. Specifically as it pertains to holding political power, it seems. Although I suppose that you could have a triumvirate in control of a company or something like that. Words are fun. It's especially interesting that we have words like triumvirate when we already have words like coalition or council. Because it's interesting how, especially in the English language, I say especially in the English language, the only language I speak is English. And so I don't have a frame of reference for any other languages. But it's interesting how often the English language creates words specifically to more narrowly describe things that it already has words for. Right? Like you could just call a triumvirate a council. And that would be fine, because it is technically a council. But it's a very specific kind of council. And I like that we have words that really break that down. I imagine it's something that has happened over a fairly long period of time. Specifically because people are always trying to come up with ways to shorten language. And saying a council of 3 is considerably longer than saying a triumvirate. And so I assume that because it was something that had happened and because it was a big deal, it just got shortened into triumvirate. Especially because it was happening multiple times. Right? If it wasn't necessarily always a council of 3, right? If it was a council that sometimes had 3 people and sometimes had 4 people, then I could see them just not making the word for it. But it's interesting. Never heard both of those before. Right, but English isn't your first language, is it, Quizza? Also, for a high school dropout, I'm pretty well read. I didn't do well in school, not because I didn't enjoy reading and learning, but because I can't stand structured learning like that. It drives me insane. But I love learning new words. One of my favorite things. I've said this on stream before, but when I was a kid, my grandfather was a journalist, My grandmother on the same side was a teacher. My mom was a teacher. And my uncle on my mom's side is a philosophy professor at a college. And so that whole side of the family is just very articulate and have huge vocabularies. And so when I was a kid, when I was in grade school, my grandfather used to send me letters that had just words in them. And I was just supposed to look them up and learn what they meant and then send them back. It was like getting a word of the day calendar from my grandfather every week. And I'd get them in the mail and I'd learn the words and then I'd send them back to him with their definitions on them. And then he'd send me a new list. We didn't do it for very long, but my family was always doing stuff like that. When we were kids, you know, I'm fairly old, I'm 38, and so we did a lot of car trips, right? Whenever we would go to visit grandparents or anything like that, we would get in the car, and sometimes it would be as much as a 10-hour car ride. And so instead of just wasting that time, I mean, we had Game Boys and stuff like that, and we would play some video games in the car. We also had lots of little trivia car games and stuff like that. And so, for at least part of every one of those trips, my parents would play the trivia games with us. Whoever was riding shotgun at the time, so usually my mom, because my dad usually drove. But we would break out the little car trivia games and play those. So despite the fact that I have very limited formal education, my family was pretty intent on making sure that I wasn't an idiot, which I'm very happy for. But I do love language. I honestly wish that I knew more languages. I wish that I had realized earlier, but because I realized pretty young how interesting English was. You know, we were talking about the word triumvirate and the fact that it's just a really specific word for a council of three people. And I recognized that about English very young in my life. But what I didn't recognize until very late in my life was that if you know how to speak in a lot of different languages, you can get even more specific with things because there are instances of that in every language, like the term Schadenfreude from German, which is taking pleasure in the misfortune of others. Or Schadenfreude. I don't even know exactly how to pronounce it, but it's sort of a play. I think my brain is half dead. It's only processing half of what you said. You know, you haven't slept in a while, Quizza. Probably why. But there's no equivalent version of that in English. And honestly, I mean, basically, English-speaking people have just adopted the German word because there's no reason to create an English word for it because it's so easy to get the information on what it means. And I think that's going to be something that happens a lot in the coming decades because we have so much interconnectivity between cultures thanks to the internet. And honestly, specifically because of gaming on the internet, only 30 to 40% of my viewers are from the United States where I am, which is a huge percentage, but it's only 30% of the people who watch my content are from my home country, which is insane. think I might try to get some sleep. I'll leave the stream on. I appreciate that. Definitely get some sleep. One of the most important things about taking care of your body is sleeping. But I think that that's going to end up happening a lot. I think a lot of words are going to start to just sort of get mashed into every other language. You know, English is going to do it. Chinese is going to do it. Japanese is going to do it. We're going to be taking all these different languages. And eventually, we will have taken so many words from so many languages, in so many languages, that we'll just have one language. Because everybody will be able to ultimately understand each other, because the core of what you're saying will mostly be this sort of universally understood amalgamation of language. I'm pretty excited about that. Pretty excited to see that happen. I'm only at 31% of my carrying capacity. I'm probably going to break this pickaxe before I get to 100%. That's crazy. Oh, early morning sculptor. Goodbye. Goodness, I hate those people. Leave me alone with your stupid bots. Yes, since I'm here and it's enchanted, I should just get it. Since I'm here. Oh, poop. Okay, sorry. Was doing something off screen there. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom real quick. Alright, I'm back. Back to the big old circle in the sky. Whoops. I did not intend to go through that wall. Or through that door. But that's alright. Alright. I've only gained like 5% in over an hour and a half of doing this. The grind for gathering is so real in this game. Did I break my pickaxe? I broke my pickaxe. Bad day. Just gonna teleport back.
I have lots to trade.
All right. How much do I have here? I made almost 300k in a little over an hour and a half. It's not great, but for only having a 3 or 4 day old account, it's decent. I am just going to sell that for 1 silver. And I am just going to sell that for 7 silver. Oh, shoot. Oh. Just sell these. Just sell these. All right. Got everything put up for sale there.
Deal.
And away we go back out. So, hey, what's up, Darkling? Yeah, just always doing my little gathering streams. It's nice and relaxing. It gives me an opportunity, in the future, hopefully, with some of the bigger games that I plan on playing. I will likely need to be listening to Discord chats while I'm trying to play and stream at the same time. And so being able to hear what people are saying and talking while I'm playing to chat is going to be fairly important. So I'm actually watching TV right now, trying to practice not letting what's going on the TV distract me from trying to play. But then I realized basically I've been silent up until the point when you said something in the chat there. So I'm going to have to get better at that. Also, I don't really feel like I have a ton to talk about because I'm just running in circles gathering. Honestly, when I was streaming, I just let anyone in Discord know they were on stream as well, so stream heard both sides. My friends didn't give a... Yeah, that's an option. But it's extremely distracting. I think I personally, I hate watching streams where Discord conversations are going on. Um, but maybe that's because um, the people who are also part of those Discord chats are never really cognizant of what's going on with the stream, right? They don't necessarily have the stream pulled up. They don't have the other voice chats pulled up. At one time, back in the day, where Smoking Rabbit got on the stream with me and was actually using the voice chat in the game, and we were talking, and then Rabbit was like actively interacting with the chat. I thought that was probably the best stream I've ever had, and that was really cool because, you know, him and then I don't even remember who the other person was that was with us, but we had a couple of people who were actually actively interacting with the chat, and I think that really added something to the stream. And in the future, I may try and do something like that with, you know, some personal friends or my brothers or some really good friends in whatever guild I end up playing with some of these other games. And I could see that being a lot of fun and being very useful. But, you know, when it's just talk about the game or BS talk about, you know, inside jokes or something like that that maybe aren't shared with the chat, then I think it's kind of detracting and distracting. So I just don't really want to have that going on. But I do need to have the ability to interact with people I'm playing with, or at least be able to follow instructions, right? Because I want to be streaming during big events like wars and things like that going on. But I also don't want to be ignoring chat during those experiences. And so just getting used to like listening to a shot caller or something like that, and then following those instructions is also very important. I mean, it's not even just necessarily about playing with my friends. Oh, 5 casters over here? What the heck? Tried to change my Twitch name to Darkling, taken. So annoyed. Oh, that sucks. That's okay. We all know. We all know what it's supposed to say. Any variation is just yoinked. I'm sure Darkling is mine from way back, but I can't get that account. Oh yeah. That's funny. I used to have that problem a lot. Not being able to access accounts. I didn't understand when I was younger and first making, like accounts for Diablo 2 and stuff like that. How important those are, how long lasting those accounts were going to be. I mean, I was like 15, maybe even younger. And so so I ended up losing the email that I had a lot of my early accounts attached to. Was never able to get access to them again. I ended up actually having to buy a bunch of video games all over again. It was kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. Oh, dang. This cow makes so many noises. I am totally failing to think of anything to talk about right now. I can't believe that in almost 2 hours, we haven't even gotten 10%. This is going way slower than I expected. Something I want to look at real quick is... There we go. 5,000 faction tokens. Nice. Faction tokens are a pretty huge part of making Gathering worth it as you're tiering up. And hey, I've been promoted to Scout. Ain't that something? Getting tiered up in your faction is really important too, because the rank you have in your faction is what determines what you can spend your tokens on. You need to get to a much further rank to be able to do things like buy the mounts and stuff like that, and those are pretty valuable. So they add a significant amount to the amount of currency you can make by gathering. Where am I at? 98 still? Okay. Since I've got 4 glowy enemies here. Let's round them up. Oops. Screw the pooch on that. Almost got myself killed just now. Oh my gosh, all this PvE stuff drops so many learning points. It's actually kind of crazy. All the roaming mob things seem to be dropping learning points. Let's see. Defeat 12 T3 roaming mobs. Get some currency. Defeat a roaming mob within 10 seconds. Gain 20 learning points. Go defeat 8 roaming mobs within 10 seconds. Honestly, I might have to do some of these. All these extra learning points are pretty valuable. Let's see, I have enough. So I'm going to do that until it takes me down to 89. And then I'm going to go ahead and tier up. I want to kind of get the most out of my learning points. So I don't want to waste one, right? Because I'd only get about half value. But if I keep going until it only says I need 89 of them, then I'll get max value out of it. I wonder how long it'll take. I might have been right on that. 90. Come on. Stupid optimizy brain. Now I really can't do it because now I've wasted all this XP. It's especially important. Sorry, it's especially important in these early levels, or these early tiers, to be using your points to get to the next tier, because you get so much more value experience-wise from having higher tier gathering gear, and speed-wise having higher tier gathering tools. So just the value that you get from each learning point is honestly pretty high in these early tiers. And going like from tier 7 to tier 8, while learning points are extremely valuable, you're already gathering at such a high speed that honestly, there we go. You can kind of get away with just going the full distance because you end up going about as fast in the later tiers through the tier as you do in the early tiers, and especially from 7 to 8 isn't the huge jump that all the rest of them are. So that's kind of the one that you want to spend the extra time on because you get that bump in speed when you go to 7. But you don't get the huge bump in requirement. So you can actually get from 7 to 8 without using learning points easier than pretty much any other tier. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my tier 4 gear here and my tier 4 Avalonian pickaxe. And I'm going to buy up all my tier 5 stuff for that. And then, actually, I should be able to use this to start working towards tier 6.
Don't be shy.
Alright, repair everything here. Sell the Adept's Avalonian pickaxe. Sell order. Ammo. We'll get that sold real quick. We're just going to straight sell most of these resources because the numbers aren't that far off. And I don't feel like dealing with waiting. Only 2 rough stones, so we're just going to sell it. Sell that shield. We are in the zone where mining is the most prevalent. So the mining gear has the most value here. Then we're going to go ahead and buy our gathering gear. So we need miner garb. We got the tier 5. We're just going to straight up buy it. Yeah, we can just... Now let's get the tier 5 backpack. That'd be good if we get a boar for a mount. Miner boots, buy those. And then we need to go to tools. Pickaxe, we're going to do tier 5, but we're going to get an Avalonian because we want that extra yield. 12.5% doesn't seem like a lot. But if you look at it in terms of hours, you know, every 10% saves you 6 minutes per hour, which is kind of a big deal. It's 500k. Just gonna straight up buy it. I should have put in a buy order for that
Come again.
earlier, but I didn't. So we're just gonna bite the bullet because we need it now. Sure, we'll take cleanse. None of these actually matter right this moment. Because we're not going to go out into the lethal zone. But holy crap. I didn't realize the miner backpack was a cloak and not a bag. How did I never notice that? Or how did I not remember that? Silly me. We got sold. Miner work boots, nice. Alright, now it's time to run our happy ass back out there and do some more mining. And now everything should move faster, and that's really important. That's why it's so important to use those learning points, is because a big part of what you're doing is trying to get this adept or miner tiered up or leveled up, because the increased yield and actually, you know what, I'm going back. The reason I'm going to go back right now is I'm actually going to buy some pies, because that's just too much value in the way of additional yield. You have the currency when you're leveling up your gathering skills, even if you don't, because honestly, you're going to end up making more currency than you spend buying the pies. You might as well just buy some pies. If you don't think that you'll make enough currency to
Local goods.
fulfill the pork pies, at least buy the lower tiers. But with it only going for 3k, all you have to do is get an additional 3k every 30 minutes out of the yield, and you get an additional 15% yield. So You only need to be making 30k every 30 minutes for this to end up paying for itself. And it gives you bonus fame. So we're going to buy... Nope, not 200. We're going to buy 20 of these.
Satisfied?
Get those up in there. And you know what? I think we honestly might go ahead and buy
I
a
have
boar.
lots to trade.
Let's take a look at our mount options. Let's take a look at the dire boars. I want to go right here. We've got saddled dire boar level 7. So this is the important thing. Increases your max load by 1,261. So this is not the load that it has while you're riding it. Right? It just increases your max load. And so even if you get dismounted... Okay, well I don't have enough to buy that. So we're just going to buy the tier 5 and that'll be good enough. But the reason it's important is even if you get dismounted, you're good to go. And so primarily, I use the boar when I'm gathering in lethal zones. But it's also much faster than your moose, or not your moose. We'll complete 20% of the exploration quest. Nice. And some more of these. Cool. But it moves faster than the ox, and that's pretty important because your movement speed sort of has a lot to do with how quickly you gather, because it's one of the, it's about half of the time that it takes when you're gathering. You spend about half of your time running between nodes, and you spend about half of your time gathering nodes. And so if you could speed up the time between nodes with a boar, then you're just going to have a better time. I think a lot of people use like the bears and stuff, or the moose when they're gathering in non-lethal zones, but the boar is definitely where you want to be. When you're looking at going into lethals, just because of how much weight it gives you, so you can gather a whole lot, and the fact that you can still move no matter how much you've gathered, as long as you haven't overweighted your boar. And you'll see that in a minute. Well, actually, I guess you can see it right here. The boar doesn't have a weight value. Normally they're split. Because the boar doesn't have a weight value, you only have one value up here. The lizards also have that. They have much lower weights. The reason the lizards are really good is because they automatically have 100% move speed. They don't start below 100% and then have a sprint. So they're really good for getting away from people when you're gathering. Because if somebody comes to gank you, right, you mount up and you start running. And they have to go through the effort of summoning their mount and then catching up to you at that slower speed and getting into sprint and then coming and getting you. So especially in the mists, the lizards can be really good because the exits are so close. And because exiting doesn't mean that you're just moving into another zone, right? As soon as you exit the mist, you completely exit into wherever you started. And so the other person is going to find it very difficult to kill you if you manage to mount up before they eliminate your mount. But it will mean that you have much less gathering capacity. And so you will have to contend with that. But still works pretty good. But I think, personally, I just think the boar is better. And I think that's kind of the accepted practice. And it's adorable, right? Who doesn't want to ride around on a boar? Now, instead of 4 swings, it only takes 3 swings. And we eat our pork pie. We got our doubles, so we got 30 fame that time instead of 15. And that's what it's all about, increasing the chance that you're going to get double fame. And increasing the speed at which you gather. There could definitely be an argument made for not worrying as much about your tier. Well, honestly, no, there couldn't. The tier doesn't give you nearly as much, or the bonus here doesn't give you nearly as much as tiering up does, as far as your gather speed goes. But it's still extremely important to increase your gather speed specifically on the types of nodes you're getting. So you should always, for all of your gathers, focus on tier 4s to get them all the way up to 100 as you go on your way towards getting to tier 8. There's no need to, get to tier 5 and then gather tier 5 and then get to tier 6 and then gather tier 6. You will get more fame per hour by gathering tier 4s all the way up. The only way to bring the other tiers in line with the fame per hour speed is to get them up to 100 spec as well. And then once you do that, they'll all pretty much be at an equivalent fame speed. But because you start at tier 4, you get to level this one up first. And so it's just always going to be ahead of the other ones. So you might as well just stick with it. It's quite a bit more boring. You make less currency, at least at later tiers, like in the 7 and 8 tier, you'll make less currency. But because your gathering is faster, even if the individual units are worth less, you make quite a bit more, through like tier 4 and 5 and 6 by just gathering tier 4. Especially if you can get a hold of an exceptional node. If you can get a hold of an exceptional tier 4 node, you just camp it. Because you'll make more currency camping that node than anything else. By a pretty significant amount. I mean, hundreds of thousands in an hour. And if you have all the yield bonuses and you're getting double and sometimes triple, you can get as much as 1 million in an hour from a tier 4.2 or from a tier 4.3 node of pretty much any type. When the Europe servers went live, I stayed in the lower tier zones for the whole period of time I was playing that game Gathering. Sorry, for the whole period of time I was playing that server Gathering. I would just stay in the lower tier nodes, and I was just gathering tier 4 and 5, and I had them totally max spec'd. And I was wearing, all tier 8 gear, and I had, everything that you could possibly get. And the most I ever got was like 2.5 mil in an hour from a single exceptional node. Because the nodes last about an hour in whatever exceptional state that they're in. This is already so much faster. Still haven't even hit 1% though. Getting pretty close. We're at about 5 minutes. It's going to take us a little more than 5 minutes, so it's going to be about 6 minutes per percent, it looks like, for tier 5 here. So it should take us 2 hours to get to level, or to get to 20%. That doesn't seem right. It's going to take more. Yeah, it's probably going to take closer to 7 minutes then. Even so, that'll still only be 2.5 hours-ish. So call it 3 just to be safe. It's not bad. 3 hours to get to 20%. So we take 5 times that, it'd take 15 hours to gather straight up to tier 6 without using learning points. So I'm definitely probably going to have to take the time to go try and earn those learning points. Although it is going to take a lot. Yeah, 234. I don't even know if there's 234 learning points available. It's easily the thing that I want premium for the most, is learning points, especially when you're on a new character. Premium's just got so much value because of that. Gives you so much ability to level up your gatherings and stuff, level up your specializations for your weapons, all of it. You know, I'm starting on a totally clean slate here. I have basically nothing. And so just being able to stack up those learning points is so important. I'm probably going to have to bite the bullet and go ahead and spend the 30 mil as soon as I get it. Which is likely going to be a while. Hopefully, I get ooh. What's up, bud? Ooh, it's all the way. Yeah, we're camping this one. Especially because it's got 2 other enchanted nodes right next to it. We're definitely camping this one. Because if you look, I just got those 3 pulls. So we had 16, and 6 is 22, and 2 is 24. Okay, from everything else I've gathered so far in the past 7 minutes, 8 minutes. And that one by itself was 47. Okay. Oh, that one just disappeared on me. So, I mean, the value of these nodes is crazy. And I only got 1 double pull from that. So, as long as this comes back faster than once every 3 minutes, then I'm making more standing here doing this than I can going and doing anything else. No, I'm not going to make more fame. This is strictly going to make me more currency. But that's okay. Sometimes you just gotta get the extra currency when you can. Especially when you're super early game like this. And you don't have a lot. You know, I've only got, all told, maybe 4 mil. Let's see, there's a mil in my regular set. There's 500k here. I've got 500k. That's 2 mil. I've got, well, let's see. I've got a mil here. My set is a mil. I've got 500k here. And I've probably got a mil to a mil and a half currently up for sale. And I already got another one of those. Now we're up to 59k. So, all told in assets, I've got about 4 million silver, which in 4 days, in your first 4 days, isn't terrible. I would have liked to have gotten higher. The last time when I did the Europe server, I didn't start on the early access. I started on the official launch, where I didn't buy, the silver or the gold or whatever. I just started when the free to play launched. And so I wasn't able to get my premium within the first 3 days free premium. I did pay $5 to get the 7 day. And then by the end of that 7 day, actually by the end of 3 days into that 7 day, I had all my premium purchased and I was maxed out on one of my specs for one of my gatherings. I just started churning out currency. I was making a couple mil an hour just gathering for the first 3 or 4 weeks. And I was just gathering tier 4 and tier 5 in a tier 5 zone. Just running in circles for a stupid amount of hours every day. This is really boring, but it's got to be done sometimes. Gathering is one of the most consistent currency gains that you can get. And so, while it is one of the more boring things you can do, you just kind of have to do it. My recommendation is get a second monitor. Um, but yeah, so if you get a second monitor, watch a TV show or something. Gathering, gathering. Running in circles, gathering. Oh, wow, it's 50% more fame. Gross. Should be pretty close. 98. Getting pretty close to getting to 100 there. Need to kill some more of these bosses. Some more of these green glowy dudes. If I could hit 100 tonight and be able to move into some tier 8 gear tomorrow, it'd be pretty lit. Of course, I guess I'm in 6.2 right now, which is technically tier 8. So I really need to get into 8.1 or higher. Really what I'd like to do is just start off buying 8.3 pieces. Just move into an 8.3 piece set. Because that'll just make everything easier. Hopefully, with an 8.3 piece set, I could go run statics for fame. And just use fame credits to buy out the rest of my my spears. But I don't know if that will be faster or if that will be fun. Or if instead I should just constantly be changing equipment. And just go run around in the non-lethal mists and level every spear up by running around in the non-lethal mists. If I do that, it's going to take over a month to get my spear all the way to where I can use it. But that might be worth it. Just because it'll be more entertaining. I'll probably end up with way more currency that way, because if I make buy orders and sell orders for my 8.3 pieces, I'll actually gain currency as I go through and do that stuff. I returned, TP made me restart my PC. That's funny. Did you manage to get your GeForce experience working? don't feel like these come back as often as they used to. I think they might have changed the respawn timers on the exceptionals. I definitely feel like I used to make more curves. Of course, I guess I would have gotten 2 or 3 times the amount by now. 2.5 times the amount by now. It's over. So many resources. Okay, well, I've completely lost the ability to keep actually talking for like an hour straight now. So I think we're going to call this gathering stream. We'll try and come up with a better topic to talk about tomorrow. I was just kind of vamping today, so yeah, we'll do something more interesting tomorrow. But I definitely want to keep having these gather streams, mostly because they give me an opportunity to just gather resources, and I really need to do that. So yeah, thanks everybody who came by and said what's up. Hope everybody has a great day. I will see you at the regular time tomorrow.